Jessie Minassian is a speaker, blogger, and author of 15 books spanning multiple genres. She founded lifeloveandgod.com in 2005. It's a Q&A website for teen and college-aged girls, and she draws on over 20 years of conversations and interactions with young women for her book, Your Brightest Life. It has 70 tips for navigating relationships, health, faith, mindset, and more. Jessie, welcome to the Wednesday Bookmark. I'm so excited to speak with you.
Thanks so much for having me. This is going to be fun.
So, what was the catalyst, first of all, for you to provide basically a life guide to women, to young women, so they can get excited and optimistic about their future?
Oh, man. Well, as you mentioned, I've been working with young women for almost 20 years now. But after having my own girls, I'm even more passionate about just helping them navigate this life. I kind of have the bird's eye view now. My daughters are junior and senior in high school, and just seeing the unique challenges that they're facing in this time. You know, there's some things that have been the same since we were teenagers, and then there's some things that are even more challenging with the advent of technology and just today's cultural moment. So I really believe this age group, this, teens to early 20s, you're making some of the biggest decisions of your life. And if you have a guide to come alongside you and help make those decisions well, it really can set you up for the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, well, I'm going to just dive right into the first section. You start right away with boys. And I love that you went there first, because I can relate to so much of it in this section. What does your practical advice on boys, like, how does that lead to your brightest life? Like, why is this even a category here when you talk about a brightest life?
Okay, so this is one of the things that has been as old as time, at least since I was a teenager. I mean, guys tend to hold a lot of sway in a girl's heart. Like, it's just sort of the way God has wired us. And we're such relational creatures as women. And so a lot of the biggest mistakes can come from that area of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so my hope is to help equip girls with some practical tools to do that well, and how to approach relationships, how to be okay with singleness, but also how to just navigate it well with guidelines from scriptures, but not rules, because I think there really isn't one size fits all.
Yeah. I love that you said that you were like a crushaholic in high school, because I was a little bit the same. I had a keychain that said if it weren't for boys, I'd quit school. And it's so bad. But I love, like, even you show the difference between admiration and affection.
Yes.
And it's just, you go in places that I think a typical kind of young girl's handbook doesn't go. So I really appreciated that.
Thank you. Yeah, that I feel like, honestly, still, I just was having a conversation with one of my daughters yesterday about this, the difference between admiration and attraction. Like, that would have saved me so much heartache if I just had realized, like, we're hardwired to admire qualities in the opposite sex. It doesn't mean that I have 10 crushes at once, usually.
Yeah. Okay, so you also made up a term, chameleon's law. Can you explain it and describe it with your advice to readers?
Sure. Yeah, I've got 70 tips in here because I have a lot of experience in making bad choices. So got plenty of material to work with. Chameleon's law just states that a girl not grounded in her own identity will adapt to become like the people around her, and especially when guys are involved, but even friends or influences in her life. I think social media has sort of exacerbated this. But yeah, I was the queen of whatever the guy I liked was doing. I was, rock climbing. I was camping in the wilderness. I was, traveling. Then I became an intellectual. Like, I didn't know who I was. And this is the time of life when you're trying on different things to see who you are and who you want to become. And that's a natural part of growing up. But when we find our identity in the Lord and in the core of who we are, then we're not constantly being tossed around and trying to become what everybody else wants us to be.
I'm reminded of this quote. We have one line in the book that I wanted to ask about later, because it doesn't fall under this category of relationships, I don't think, but maybe it ties in. Skip easy in favor of lifelong impact. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. This is one, man. Some of these are just convicting for me in my season of life too. Like, they're kind of universal, but I mean, easy is easy. If we work at things that last, it really does make a lifelong difference. And this was sparked by, there's this place in Fresno, California, most people will never see, because who wants to visit Fresno, California? It's in the middle of nowhere. But this guy came from Europe. He was his dream was to be a citrus farmer, big dreams. And life. And when he got there, he found that the earth was so hard. There's this durapan just a few feet under the surface. It's like rock. And so he realized that everyone else in town was just, they were keeping it shallow, and they were building stick houses and just dealing with the cards they had been dealt. And for him, I call him Mr. Baldy because his name is really hard to pronounce. He decided he was going to dig out the durapan, and he created bricks out of this durapan and dug down. And he spent his life digging down and creating rooms. And he created this whole gardens and had a citrus trees down under the surface. And it was so inspiring to me that he would spend his life on this. But everyone else's stick built houses, I mean, they've long gone. It's been over 100 years, and the trees that they planted are all gone. But these trees, some of them are 100 years old. The grapevines and trees that, because they're down in the cooler earth down below, have impacted generations. So I feel like that's inspiring for me and for others as well.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. Healthy family relationships, you also say, help lead to a bright life and our best future. You talk about fighting fairly, living intentionally with no regrets. What would you say is the biggest lesson that you're trying to teach your own teen daughters when it comes to these tips on family?
Yeah. Well, right now I'm teaching them how to take care of old people well, because I'm going to be now. Anyway, So intentionality. I lost my mom at a pretty young age, and so I learned quickly that change comes eventually, whether we like it or not. And I want young women to know it's possible to live in family life without regrets. It's not going to be perfect. My family is not perfect. It's messy. So we talk about fighting fair, using like Nerf guns or paintballs instead of real weapons. Like, learn how to, make your case with the goal of understanding the other person, not just obliterating them, of learning how to tell each other that we love each other every day, and capture memories on our cameras or in our journals that are going to remind us of the good times. Once they've flown the coop and they're on their own, my hope is that they'll look back on this time, in the home with some good memories and some tools to help them in their next family.
Okay, I love that you encourage a vision board. What should teen and young adult girls today have on theirs?
Oh man. Well, a little plug. If you buy Your Brightest Life, you actually get free downloadables with this vision board kit. And my daughter and I just did this over New Year's, and it's got all the different areas of life, from your relationship with the Lord to healthy friendships to like your own physical health. What I would love is to help girls cast a vision for what they want their life to look like 5-10 years down the road, even, because when you have a vision of what you're looking to be like, you tend to make decisions today that will get you closer to that vision. If you don't, you just kind of go in the moment, what feels good in the moment. And having a vision kind of counteracts some of that, knee-jerk reaction that got me in a lot of trouble. And it doesn't have to be, I'm encouraging girls to just have, young women or young moms or older moms, like different generations that they can look to and kind of have this, this vision of what a healthy family can look like, even if they don't have one at home now, what they want, to do with their life, even if they're not sure on the specific career, if they have a vision of someone who's serving in their church, then they're going to be more apt to stay in church and to serve themselves someday.
Okay. Is there a quick way to answer this? What is on your vision board for your future? Because I think there's a lot of people in yours. My kids are a lot younger, but our demographic listening right now.
Yeah, man. Oh, that's a great question on my vision board. So right now in my season of life, I have kids getting ready to launch, and I just I'm the sandwich generation, so I have older parents now that I'm taking care of. So my vision this year, I've got some pictures of Bora Bora. Hey. Just travel fills my soul, so it doesn't have to be big and elaborate, but getting away does allow me to reflect and plan for the next year. So that's on my board. And just quality time with the people that I love, some new book projects, and most of all, just deepening my relationship with the Lord. We never stop learning. We never stop growing. And He's teaching me new things, halfway through my life.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a teen or a tween, and I'm learning from this book.
Yeah.
So good. Well,
Yep.
just as we wrap up, I mean, you are a fun storyteller. People can tell just from hearing you right now. You're candid, you're relatable, your stories are very honest. And honestly, I love it because my parents were always open about sharing stories from their lives and lessons that they
Right.
learned along the way. And I just appreciate that you have the same approach. So, what tips do you have for parents of teens and young adults about this?
Okay. I stole this from Mark Gregston, who has been a huge impact in my life as I've raised teens, over the past decade. And he always says, as long as you have relationship, you have influence. And that is the best advice I can give. Like, as your girls are heading into teen and especially early 20s, they know what you're going to say before you say it. Like, they've heard all the lectures and it's time to come alongside and to let them try and fail and just let them know that they're loved and help them to know where to find Jesus. But you don't have to play Holy Spirit. Like, let them live their life and come alongside as a coach, and then they're going to keep coming back, is what I've found.
Awesome. Your brightest life tips for navigating relationships, health, faith, mindset, and more. There's 70 in here, so much. Jessie, really appreciate this book, but also your time today. Jessie Minassian, thank you so much.
Thank you.